Welcome, and I'm glad you've joined me. I'd like to introduce you to a tool called Flippity. Now, this session will introduce you to the basic Google Sheets. Several interactive activities are going to be demonstrated, such as the random name picker, custom spelling lists, and flashcards. Now, here's the cool thing. Using the same vocabulary words, you can auto-generate a memory game, word search, crossword, bingo, or hangman, all from one set of terms. As each new interactive is introduced, you can follow along with your own spreadsheet. Make your own. Just pause the video if you need to, or if you can multitask and listen and work, that's great too. This is a show what you know kind of session. So you're going to finish some of your own examples and submit those if you're interested in earning a certificate of participation. So more on that later. I'm Rebecca Rosecrans, and I'm here to introduce you really to how you can keep in touch with Flippity and Steve Fortna. There's a real person behind this who creates these little gadgets for us, and you don't have to be a Twitter user. Simply go to any Google search, up there in the search, the address bar, type @FlippityNet. In your results, you should get the website to go to Twitter for Flippity and just look through his news. He posts, he's very current, and you will know what's new or if there's problems, if something needs fixed. So let's see this in action right out of the gate. Here's a link I have, and it takes me to a form. All right, so it's just asking for my name. I'm going to put that in there. And you can do this too. So this link is in the presentation. The presentation is linked in the video description. So I'll hit submit. And thanks for typing your name. I know some of you might just put a fake name in there. And I even gave you the link to see it in action. So your name should show up in there. So it'll redirect you to the active live tool. So a random name picker might help you if you're struggling with choosing students and you want to quickly pick a name. So let's go ahead and refresh this. There we go. So there's my name. You saw a moment ago there were only 3. Now there's 4, and this number will change depending on when you watch this video. There's other tools here. I can go full screen, show hide instructions. There's a little timer then that can be up here. So maybe we're going to give students a certain amount of time. And when I pick their names from this random picker, maybe they need to get into their teams. So Rebecca and Deanna, you have 10 seconds to get into your team, so we can use the counter. So whatever use I'd like, it's a random name picker. So these are the different displays. So I didn't have to have the wheel. I could have that generate groups for me. So I can decide how many group numbers, and it would look at my class list or whatever I have listed in the spreadsheet and divide them up by 3 or whatever number I put in. Go to www.flippity.net. Nothing to install, nothing to add on. Don't have to ask a Google admin for permission to go get this add-on. Just go get his templates. So you'll see at the top of the page that there is advertising. This is a screenshot. So this ticketing, automation, and more has nothing to do with Flippity, but this is how Steve's able to keep his site up and give these out to you with a little bit of screen advertising. So down there it says what you do. He's organized them. So featured, we have e-learning recommendations or skip the spreadsheet. That's the place you would go to get started. Pick the template you want. You'll see it says demo. So you can just play one of his demos, his written out instructions, or click right there on template. When you click template, it's going to pop up. So we need at least to have a Google account. It'll pop up with this copied document. Well, yeah, I want to make a copy of that. And when you do, you're going to rename it. And I want to stress this. We'll see the slide here in a moment again. Do not edit any cell with a blue background. Please just leave those alone. That's where all the magic that Steve has scripted in formulas, that's what makes these work. So just leave them alone. Back to the copy, right? You're going to set the title. So up there it says copy of. You could wipe out the whole name, rename it something that makes sense to you, whatever you're working on. Under File, once you have your copy, you must always, and I guarantee you're going to forget it at least once, you must always go to File, Publish to Web. And you can do this right away with his template that you're copying to test it out. Next would be Publish to the Web right there. And that's the screen that pops up when I clicked File, Publish to the Web. I hit Publish, and at the top of your screen, it'll pop up and say, are you sure you want to publish? Well, okay, yeah, we are. And there's nothing else you need to do on this page. Just leave it as is and you can close it. Now I'm back to my spreadsheet. Do not edit any cell with a blue background, please. I just want to stress that. If you do, again, you might destroy the magic that makes this work. You made a copy, you named the file, you published to web. Let's play it. So across the bottom of your sheet, you'll see the slide or the sheet that has the randomizer. That's where you enter names, and names are already there in the template. And then click the Get the Link Here sheet. This second sheet is going to provide you with the link you need. You can send that off to people, or that's just your link. And in this case, you're probably just going to use this for yourself. When I click that link, it would take me to the actual activity on the website. I want you to show me what you know, and you'll take your own data to create a list and randomize it in a Flippity randomizer. Here's where we'll get the data. In your gradebook, you can get a report. The class roster will work. And when I run that, I can pick one class or several, sort by the name, and I'll choose Excel. Excel is the Microsoft equivalent of Google Sheets. And I'll click Submit. That file's going to download, and I'll need to upload it to my Google Drive. So here in my Google Drive, I can easily drag and drop this file right into my drive. Now it comes in and it is a .xls file. What's really great, Google plays nice with these Microsoft files, so it's going to open up. Now, as I proceed, it's going to ask me about changing it. So we'll get there. But this is a spreadsheet, and there's some spreadsheet basics to know. Columns are labeled with letters. And there's that message. I knew it'd be there. Well, yep, we need to save it as a .xlsx. Okay, no problem. And when I click on that, the little badge up here does change that little label, and it's a newer format than what was downloaded from my class roster report. So moving on, these letters across the top are the headers for my columns. So columns are labeled with letters. Rows are labeled with numbers. I really like one time it was described that using a spreadsheet is like little addresses. So there are rectangles all over this, right? These are cells. So when you click on a cell, it will have an address. The address is a combination of a letter from a column. So this would be column C and a row 4. This is the location, the address, C4. Now, when I run this, and I really don't like that these names are flowing over more than one column, I can position my mouse on the bar between two column headers. When I hold, after seeing that arrow symbol, I can stretch that column. And now column A is really wide and these words don't fall over. If I'm making that randomized wheel, Winona, Dakota, Cassandra, these long names are going to be too much. So at best, you're going to have your students' first names, maybe last initial when you have duplicates in the same, same name in the same class. But I really just want the first names. So to do this, I'm going to select, and I do that just by holding my mouse. I'll click on that first cell, which was A3, and I slide down while holding my mouse to select this data. And since I'm doing something with data, that's the menu item I'll go to, data. And when I slide down that, I can use this really handy tool, split text to columns, because I want to separate first names and last names. Voila, nicely done. And I can then select just my first names and paste this into a Flippity template. Now, before I do that, some of you have districts where possibly the names are all caps. So I already pulled this one in. I already had clicked it. It has updated it to the newer Microsoft Excel format, the XLSX, but these are all caps. I don't want to hand type these. And even if I split them, they're still going to be all caps. So I'll have an extra step. I will need to type an equal symbol. And so this will start a formula that will do something for me. It needs to function. And I want it to make this proper. So proper case means the first letter will have a capital and the rest of the letters will be lowercase. So proper. Now I need to put in that address. And the address is protected with parentheses. So I'll put that first parenthesis. I'll type in the address. That's column A, row 3. And there's shorter ways to do this. I'm just showing a very basic manual way. And I'll protect the rest of that address with a parenthesis at the end. It's giving me a preview of what that's going to look like. Nice. And so I'm going to hit enter on my keyboard or return if you're a Mac user. And it has filled and applied. It's even suggesting, hey, you're going to do this with one name. I bet you're going to want to do this again. And so I can click the check to enter autofill. But I do want to show you, if you don't get prompted for autofill, I'll hit X to reject, because some Spreadsheet Basics is knowing how to take advantage of the formula over and over and over without hand typing it. So the bottom right corner has this little square, and when my mouse is over that square, I see a crosshair. I grab that, I click and hold my mouse, I slide down, and every little bit is applying that formula. And the function I told it to do was to make it proper case, and it's doing that all the way down as far as I drag that square. So my extra step is over. The data is still selected. Now I can go up to data and I could split the text to columns. Not bad. What I'd like is just the first names. So I will select those and I can go to the edit menu and pick copy, or I could Control C, Command C, whichever way you like. And now those names are copied and waiting. I head to the flippity.net website and grab a template, the random NamePicker template. Remember, I already showed you these steps to make a copy. So you're showing me what you know. Either you're following along or you're going to pause this video and do your own. Names are already in there. All I have to do is select the cell A2. And when I do that, I have the option now to right click and then I can just paste. So when I paste, those are my names from my class roster. and this isn't ready yet. There's that thing you might forget. If I want to play this randomizer, I have to go to File, Publish to the Web. Publish, okay, looks good. So I close the Publish window, head to the Get Link here, and now I'm ready to use this new link that I just made with my names. So I hover over that link, click, there they are. So Cassandra, just her name alone gets really close to maximizing, busting out of its space, but it did fit. And now I'm ready to possibly say, let's do lineup. Who's next? How about groups? Maybe we're going to make up a seating chart real fast. So there's a lot of choices up there as well as more. And I'll let you take some time, pause this video, or maybe that was enough. And if you are turning this in for credit, you will want to go to your spreadsheet and share this with me. So when I click on share, see this address right there. That's the one you need to copy down. And please turn it in using that account. And you can share it by typing my name in the add people. It's a name picker, right? That's all it can do? No, why don't we think outside the box? What if we put numbers on the wheel? So in our spreadsheet, we would just have numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we would type, or maybe we'd take those numbers and we would have our randomizer group them. And so now I have on my screen 5 groups of 2 numbers, and I can generate math problems on the fly. So that can be some fun study for addition, subtraction, multiplication. And so let's keep thinking outside of the box. What if I'm a foreign language teacher? So if I have a world language, I could have that language on my wheel, but when they spin, I want to ask the student to vocally say the English or vice versa. For history, I'm thinking we have dates of battles, and those dates can, we spin the wheel and review and ask an important part of that date. So in 1898, what occurred? What was the result of it? Who were the main politicians of that time? Whatever I would like to ask. And thinking outside of the box, there is a place on your gadget, on your interactive, that you can share the link. So you don't always have to be the one holding on to the game. You can send it into your Google Classroom, email it, you can tweet it out, so you can share this so they can play independently. So I mentioned in the opening that you can use terms once, and then you will get 5 other activities. So if you start with Flippity flashcards, then you will have the option to generate from that list of terms and definitions. It depends on what you want. So in a crossword puzzle, it makes sense to use the terms. It will generate, using your terms, a puzzle. Hangman, which right now is displayed as snowman. So he would melt, and parts of the snowman melt off, rather than building a hangman character. But there are different flavors of the hangman game. Matching game, a word search, and a bingo game. I have come across this great example, and it is a flashcard example by Sarah Kiefer. She's around the Cincinnati area, and she basically has created all these great multiplication flashcards. And so I'll share that link, or you just grab it from the presentation. And so this is what a flashcard would look like with Flippity. And so we can see how we can flip the card. or we can just move on to the next card. And there are colors you can set so they look like index cards, like we're really studying the good old-fashioned way, and if we want to check our answers. So because these are from the multiplication table, and I chose 0, it's going to run through all the zeros. And she has done this for every number. So if maybe you're in a 3rd grade teacher and looking to have your students review their multiplication facts, there you go. Got a little resource for you. This time I'd like to do the demonstration a little differently. I'm going to use the demo. Where do we start when we want a new template? You got it right there at flippity.net. And before I show you that example, there is a little, I guess, clause I want to inform you about. If you want to have photos, images, graphics, anything that's an image file in a flashcard, make sure that those images are publicly accessible. I'll go into that in a little more detail. You cannot use Google Drive to store your photos. If you do know about Google Drawings, use that. So you can take a photo, put it in a Google Drawing, save it, and publish to the web, and that file would be publicly accessible. Just make sure you grab the publish to web link. Pause the video when you want to work on your own. So without further ado, let's bring up the Flippity website and a demo. Flashcards is at the top left of his featured tab. When I click on demo, as you can with any of these, feel free to roll through it. And I'm going to try and shrink up this window a little bit for us so it all fits. Of course, remember, it's free for us to use this, but we're subject to a little bit of advertising. I'm going to try these just in traditional flashcard format, but I have other choices as well. I click on the actual flashcard, and that will let me flip the card for the answer. We have a speaker here, so it will read flashcards to me.
The year of Columbus's discovery of the New World.
Colors of each flashcard can be controlled. Colors of text can be controlled. Here's an example where there's an image. It doesn't mean you have to have the image stored someplace. You can go out to the web, look at a web page image. If this came right off of the Van Gogh website, I could copy the address of the image, not of an entire web page, but of just that one image. Then it can appear on my flashcard. And I'm clicking quickly through those because I wanted to get to the image example and this, a video example. YouTube videos can be placed right onto the card. So that's another unique feature I wanted to show you with these flashcards. Let's go make a copy, do those steps so we can see this in action. I'll click on template, copy my document, update the name, and maybe you can follow along with these steps, but getting in your side 1 and your side 2, I understand that might take you a little longer, depending on how many words, definitions, facts that you're going to put into your example for your submission. So I just made a fresh copy. I will rename it. I do want to show you something else. Right down here is the link for Get Link here. And I'm purposely skipping a step. So it says it's loading my link. Error. Interesting. They do show us in row 5. If there's an error in cell A2, you can select it and press magic keys here or copy the address in your spreadsheet above and paste it into A8 below. But I was purposely skipping a step. That was go to File, Publish to Web. Make sure you always publish. So you might not be getting that error for the common reason. You might be getting it because you forgot to publish. I'm going back to the flashcards. I'm going to click Get Link here. Sure enough, I'm still getting this, right? It's having an error loading the data. So if I pressed Control R or Command R, or copy the URL of your spreadsheet. So up here at the top, this is the URL of my spreadsheet, and I put that down into A8. He has already kind of colored that cell. Voila, it did fix it. And now I can move down, click my link. Now, of course, mine's exactly the same as the template, but I suggest you do that every time so you know it works before you invest all the time of putting your terms and your definitions into the template. Here's where you see the example of a link that was placed in from the web for the image of Van Gogh. Over here is where the video is that I showed you on the flashcard. So it's a matter of just getting the YouTube share video link right there. So they can appear on either side, side one or side two. As always, we won't touch the blue cells, right? Leave those all alone. Card colors controlled in column C and text colors controlled in column D. And looking at his example, you'll know what colors you can use. There's a few that aren't valid colors. If you type them in and they don't appear to change, then you find out which ones they are. Now, other things I told you early on, the flashcard is what gets you all these other activities. And I first said 5, but there's actually quite more. Bingo, crossword, manipulatives, matching, quiz show. There was 5 right there. He's added randomizer wheel, and we have scavenger hunt, snowman, or hangman, however you want to name it, word cloud, word search, word scramble. So look at this, so many more. Of course, you could also print a quiz and make it a fill in the blank or just a matching type activity. And you can control how the quiz would look and generate. So scrolling back to the top here, bingo, how that would work. You can play that online. You can also choose to print. So it would print out boards. You can include a free space or not. Just decide what's going to be on the terms or on the board. Here it said the terms and how many boards you need. Or if I am just playing online, you can send the players the link below right here. You could use the QR code because it'll generate a unique randomly generated board. I can make sure I check the free space or hit the arrow right here to generate a board on screen. So I've done this where I had 2 bingo boards, 2 people were playing virtually on the same screen, and we just used an annotation tool to mark whenever our letter and our term was chosen. If I back up just a touch, back on my list, I was in the bingo card. So that opened a whole new tab. I'm going to close those tabs for the bingo card. Some of these are printable, some of them are virtual, meaning on the web. You decide which ones you want, or just point them out to your kids. This is a great way for them to review and do it in a game-like manner. Show me what you know. Pause the video if you need to. Do your own and take some time to play with your own once you have it created. Flippity does a lot more, and it all just comes from simple spreadsheets. You can have Mad Libs, a randomizer, tournament bracket, quiz show. So a lot of people would use an old PowerPoint or Google Slides template to make a Jeopardy game or a Flippity typing test. So you can have your own spelling words from your class that students practice. And not only are they practicing the spelling, they're practicing typing skills. A badge tracker, if they're earning maybe micro credentials, or if you're gamifying your classroom and you've made badges for them to earn, and spelling words. And this is something I know teachers have looked for years. How do I give a spelling test to all different groups of students in the same room? So this would be a way that you can have customized spelling lists. So we'll be practicing that one for sure. Let's start at flippity.net to create our own spelling words. We'll need to look for this a little further down on the first page. Click on Template, make your copy, and you'll see names and words. You have the option to only display and type words, or you can have a full sentence. That'll be up to you. And I would follow kind of traditional format of whenever someone gives a spelling test, first recite the word, then include that word in the sentence. There is a row to email the results, and you can put in student emails. That means they will get the results, or enter in your own so you get all of those results. As always, this is the template, and we always need to publish. File, publish to web, publish, okay, and close. In the spelling words template, there are some options. And here we see there's a speech rate that you can change this rate. And there's a special one for Chromebooks. And if you want to randomize, and you can give this in quiz mode, that would be the way students would hear the words only. We'll show that here in a moment. So that could be yes or no. Get the link. And here's where the link generated. And I hover over to get this link. Here are all the names of the students that are in this template. And I have already made a copy of this and entered in my own, and those are here. So I also emailed all the results to myself, the teacher, and whenever I click my example, I can play this so you all can listen. So right now I see that when I click Bev, it will display the list. It also will
Spell.
practice.
Metaphor. A curtain of night is a metaphor. Metaphor.
And when
Spell.
she's ready,
Metaphor.
she can
A
go through
curtain
the
of night is a
quiz.
metaphor. Metaphor.
But if that list and practice screen totally defeats the purpose of the quiz, then you don't want to distribute this link to the students. You want to distribute this one, quiz link only. So one link for all of them. There's nothing stopping another student from completing a different list. So here I've used names, but you could just call them list 1, list 2, and randomly tell students which list they're going to take. But I've made mine personal and put in names. So Carol.
Spell. Proton. A proton has a positive charge. Proton.
So I have the word typed because I have this
Spell.
in quiz mode
Atom.
only.
The smallest part of an element is an atom. Atom.
And once a student submits, you'll, if you are the email listed, get messages with those results. And you can see which ones they got right and wrong right next to the correct spelling of them. So students can get that for themselves if you put in their email, or you can get that if you use the quiz only link and put your email into it. Very easy and simple. So show me what you know. Maybe you followed along with me for that, but it would be a pretty quick clip to do that if you're going to add sentences. Pause the video, go ahead off to your own spreadsheet. Don't forget to send it to me, right? And my email is on the screen a second time, so you know who to send it to, and make sure it's shared out. There's more. They have a progress indicator, so maybe you're going to have them work on a long-term project, do a self-paced progress. And what else do we have? Oh, even have a quiz. You only get a certificate generated if you get 100% correct. So there are others that came out 2018, 2019, things like Fun with Fonts. We've seen a neat scavenger hunt. So if you are familiar with breakout rooms, as well as a word scramble, and then you can just skip the spreadsheet. Let's say you do not have time, you forgot all the things you learned about spreadsheets. You don't even need a Google account. You can whip something up very quickly. And that's also something to think about. What about your students? Could they make these and hand them out and have them play with each other or turn them in? And in 2020, Steve created a board game, manipulatives that were drag and drop activities, a leaderboard, a word cloud, and a self-assessment. So those 5 were new all in 2020. Thank you for watching the video. It's only 40 minutes long. That leaves you roughly 20 minutes to work on the show what you know assignments. A form link is in the description to apply for credit. So be sure to share your 3 examples to the email provided in this video. Thanks.